Thursday, February the 4th edition of the Carolina Weather Video. Meteorologist Matthew East here along with you. A lot to talk about here in today's edition of the video. Yesterday's storm system's gone, but still some lingering effects by a new coastal low today. Maybe even some snowflakes in some areas tonight. A lot of cold air coming in the forecast and a lot of potential with this pattern moving forward. So, again, there's a lot to talk about. Let's start off with a look at the Greensboro Tower camera. It is a relatively mild February morning once again, sitting at 57 degrees. There at the PTI airport, the dew point also 57, of course, making the relative humidity then 100%. Charlotte, sort of looks like out there during the 5 o'clock hour this morning. Some low clouds out there as the day is beginning. Your temperatures right now, 50s and 60s in a lot of areas. A little cooler in the mountains, the foothills, 30s and 40s. But most of us with a very mild February morning. Look at all the storm reports from yesterday across the Carolinas. Had some issues with tornadic activity, and we'll see what the damage was caused by in northern Davidson County as well, as a survey is conducted today. But wind damage there in parts of Davidson, Randolph County, and from there you had earlier some wind damage in parts of Mecklenburg County, up into Cabarrus and Rowan County, and then up into the mountains. Boy, a lot of issues with flooding. Some of that spilled out into the foothill areas, too. Had a lot of road closures on a temporary basis due to rivers swelling out of their banks. And a lot of rain, just really a lot of rain over the past couple of days, not only in the mountains and the foothills, but all across the region. Just it's been a soaking 24 to 48 hour period across the region. Let me show you some specific rain totals. There's your triad rain totals yesterday, over 1.5 inches in Winston-Salem, almost 2 inches in North Wilkesboro. There were some localized spots over 3 inches. There's the Charlotte viewing area rain totals, 1.5 inches roughly in Rockingham, close to 1 inch in Rock Hill. Minimum in precipitation over toward Cleveland County up toward Salisbury, but in general it was a pretty good soaker. And it is a pretty good soaker this morning down into southeastern parts of North Carolina, from there down through much of eastern South Carolina, and continuing further to the south into Georgia. That is with a developing area of low pressure situated over northern Florida. That'll lift up the coast and spread continued rain today through at least the eastern Carolinas, and to some extent this might try to extend back roughly to Interstate 85 at times today. The high-resolution modeling is indicating just that idea, the chance of some rain roughly I-85 and points south and east. Now, we're behind all that tomorrow, and I'll show you more on tonight when we could see some snowflakes. I'll show you more on that coming up here in just a couple of moments. But sunshine tomorrow, your Friday high's chilly, and then we get on out into Saturday, still a good deal of sunshine. Yeah, still pretty cool as well. Watching this potential coastal low, there's the 0Z run of the GFS, far enough offshore that you don't really see much precipitation even into the coastal Carolinas. The European, though, a different scenario there, as it actually wants to crank a pretty decent little thump of some snow with temperatures aloft just right at freezing there through coastal parts of South Carolina with this system later Sunday. Now, let me get into some of the specifics of what's ahead. Let's start off with tonight. All right, so let's start off with the GFS, and let's see, we are right here then. Okay, so this is the 0Z run of the GFS. I'll show you the 6Z in a second. This is the 0Z run, valid a little after midnight tonight, low pressure off the coast of Wilmington. You go 6 hours later, and there you go. It's a little bit of light snow overnight, even a little period of some moderate snow in northeastern North Carolina and points north and east from there. And so you ended up on the 0Z run of the GFS was the potential snow amounts tonight that actually looked like that. And it's not just a one-time thing. Here's the 6Z run of the GFS. Very, very similar overall. And again, very similar with its footprint of some snow overall. So what I've done with the forecast for tonight is I think you need to mention the chance of a little bit of light snow. Now, a lot of the modeling doesn't have this at all. In fact, most models are dry. But due to the consistency of the GFS and due to that coastal low having a little bit of energy pivoting on the backside, I think it's worth mentioning that you could see in parts of central and western North Carolina, maybe in the parts of South Carolina, a little bit of light snow tonight. I don't think it's a big deal. Temperatures hovering around freezing-ish, maybe above freezing in some spots. So not a huge deal, but don't be shocked to see some snowflakes flying in some spots tonight. Now let's look down the road a bit. Let's take a peek at the upper level pattern here. Let's start off with the European model. This is out at Saturday night, overnight Saturday night. There comes your next storm system by 90 hours. This is a big upper level low off the Georgia and North Florida coast that then from there strengthens as it lifts offshore of the Carolina coast. Now, the European model, you wind up with a scenario that looks like this. Let's see if I can get the right chart here for you. All right, yeah, there's your European scenario for Sunday. And again, it's just enough cold air involved that you end up with some snow in coastal South Carolina. Now, on the other hand, the GFS computer model is offshore with this feature. I haven't put the 6C data in here yet for this system, but it looks pretty similar at first glance, although I haven't seen the entire run yet. So we'll have to watch that Sunday system. I do think the coastal part of the Carolinas will get a little bit of precipitation with that, or at least potentially could. And in some spots, if you get having enough precipitation rates, it could be a little bit of snow. But a lot of moving pieces with that one still to try to iron out. And just for instance, you can see the European ensemble low positions pretty tucked together nicely there off the Carolina coast. But if you want snow in the Carolinas, you need some of the western solutions to verify. It's a possibility, but it's certainly not a certainty. Now let's go down the road, back to the upper level charts off the European model. This is out at Tuesday of next week. Boy, that's a big sharp trough moving into the eastern part of the country. And on the European 850 millibar temperatures Wednesday morning, that's a big shot of cold air. GFS model. First of all, you notice how with the Sunday system, it is less of a closed upper level low until it gets offshore, so you have a more progressive system. But then again, following that, boy, look at that. That's the 0Z run of the GFS. That is a brutal, brutal shot of cold air into the eastern part of the country. And due to the depth of the cold air and some pieces of upper level energy flying around, the models are relatively consistent here in indicating that at times next week, this is Monday, maybe a little deal of, as that surge of cold air arrives, a little bit of light rain transitioning to a little bit of light snow, and then again on Tuesday could be some snowflakes flying. If you're wondering, yes, the European model is kind of similar. This is as that system pulls away Sunday night, but then here we go Monday. Again, there's your probably rain transitioning to a little bit of light snow in some spots. Tuesday, as the cold air really deepens, some snow flurries or snow showers here or there. So that is certainly a possibility as this cold air really deepens. Further down the road, let's take a look here. I want to show you the Canadian ensemble mean. It's had a very good winter. I've used it as a pretty reliable tool for this winter. And again, this is brutal as you get into the middle part of next week. These 850 millibar temperature deviations from normal. That is cold, cold stuff. That's Wednesday morning. I think a little secondary surge of cold air for next weekend. So it looks like a pretty cold week, really start to finish next week. Coldest air maybe Wednesday-ish, but I think next weekend probably pretty cold too. And then the Canadian ensembles indicate that you head into a warmer pattern starting around the 18th to 20th of February, maybe thereabouts. Now, a lot of times, as the cold patterns relax, you get some funny games. And boy, take this with a huge grain of salt. But this was one of the GFS runs yesterday. This was out on the 16th, the night of the 16th and the 17th of February on the GFS, and that's obviously a big-time winter storm it was showing. But subsequent runs have not had that, and it's just one of those things. This is a very, very complex pattern. Here's what I'm pretty confident about here. All right, let's talk about what I'm confident about. All right, it's going to get cold next week. Due to the upper level energy involved, could be some flurries or some snow showers here or there. It looks like it'll stay pretty cold through next weekend, maybe into early the following week. So we're talking the 15th-ish of February. Thereafter, I think the pattern is going to tend to relax, at least temporarily, to a more mild pattern. That's not a given, but I think due to some of the other atmospheric and global factors I look at, I think that's more likely than not. But a lot of times as these cold pattern ends, you can get big winter storms right as the pattern ends, and that'll be something to watch too somewhere over the eastern part of the country. So a lot of fun and games ahead. If you like cold weather, that's coming for sure, and we'll see if we can wring out some snow for the snow fans as this pattern unfolds too. All right, that is it for today's edition of the Carolina Weather Video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and God bless.